Al Rushbo at EIBnet.com. Story PJ Tatler, Gallup, Obama has lost 5 approval points in a week. Are high gas prices to blame? In one of the most underreported news items last week was this Gallup poll where Obama's down to, I think, 42 or 43%. 43. Keep in mind, this was after that humdinger winner of a week, with contraception being made the big issue and all the other wonderful things that Obama pulled off last week, and he plummeted. He lost 5 points in the Gallup approval poll. And so this story to PJ Tatler, what's happened? Well, we've seen what looks like the start of an early gasoline price spike at a time when the president's visibly militating against the pipeline. A majority supports building the Keystone Pipeline. Obama says no. To the extent that the public is aware that Obama is spurning Canadian oil, driven our ally into the arms of the Chicoms, cannot be helping. And the president also released a budget, but everybody knows that it's DOA. But you know what that budget is? That budget is a blueprint. That budget is his dream. That budget is exactly what he will do if given the chance. It may be DOA as a piece of legislation, but it is very much alive in terms of what Obama's intentions are. And his intentions are massive new amounts of debt, higher taxes to pay for it, ostensibly, more and more regulations on business. It is a blueprint for forever transforming this nation into something unrecognizable as recently as 4 or 5 years ago. He's now spent all that time last week on abortion, all that time shoring up or trying to shore himself up with the Democrat base. But it isn't working. Let's go to the audio sound bites and let's just jump feet first into this Santorum business. I want to start actually with Friday night's Hardball. Chris Matthews had the editor-at-large from Salon.com, Joan Walsh, as a guest. And they were talking about Obama's decision that insurance companies pay for contraception coverage for employees of religious-based businesses. That's what happened at the same time Obama's approval number plummeting. Now, you're going to hear in this bite something that isn't true. They cite a poll that shows 60-some-odd%, 66% support of Obama's federal requirement that private insurance plans cover the full cost of birth control. No, the vast majority of polls say it's 50-50. It's not a 66-34 issue. It's not an 80-20 issue. But more and more people are considered, the president doesn't have the authority unilaterally to just dictate this. Don't doubt me, folks. There are more and more people starting to actually become alarmed, and they are independents, at the brazen, naked power grabs that Obama is making. And the White House, the Democrat Party, is living under age-old assumptions that the independents hate values. Speaking of that, I think it was the midterms in 2002. In fact, I'm sure of it. Couldn't have been 2006 because that's when we lost. Midterms, because I was a guest with Brokaw and Russert on their NBC election night. That's right, 2002. Remember, after the 2002 midterms, there were many surprises. The Republicans did exceptionally well. In the conventional wisdom is that the first midterm after a new president's election, his party loses seats. That is a standard operating procedure, conventional wisdom bit. And it didn't happen in 2002. And furthermore, the exit polls sent shockwaves through the political establishment. Things that had never come up as issues per se mattered greatly to people as expressed in the exit polls. And one of the things, and you'll remember this when I remind you, One of the glaring things that showed up in the exit polls was how much values mattered to voters. And we were all surprised. And I'll never forget the Democrats. Immediately upon the delivery of the exit polls, the Democrats, for a week or two, publicly were saying, yeah, we're going to have to get our house in order on the values. The values-based voters, we're not giving them enough. We're going to have to make some adjustments. I remember it like it was yesterday. And all that is, when you hear value-based voters, we're simply talking about social issues, social conservatives. That, or they, were the primary reason for the 2002 midterm success. And the Democrats get the usual lip service for a couple of weeks. And then, of course, they abandoned it because they never meant it in the first place. And I bring it up just to reaffirm the point that Jeffrey Bell makes in his recent book, that social conservatism has led to victory in presidential elections. It's the dirty little secret the Democrats know and the media know, and it's why the social conservatives, one of the reasons why they're so despised. They're also despised on principle, but they're also despised because there's so many of them, and they're thought to be hick, hayseed idiots who believe every syllable in the Bible, and how stupid could that be in their minds? And they vote Republican. And they're anti-abortion. Oh, they've got every ingredient necessary for a liberal Democrat to hate somebody. The social conservatives have, and they joyously, happily propose it and vote it. And the Democrats know full well. Why do you think Obama, the Democrats, all of a sudden try to concoct this contraception issue? Because they're losing the independents. They believe, from the age-old pages of their playbook, that if they can revive this notion that the Republican Party is nothing but a bunch of theologians that want to dictate from the pulpit in the White House, that they can scare the independents back to Obama's camp. They know they can't attract them with economic issues. They know they can't attract the independents back by being positive about Obama's record, because there isn't anything there to be positive about. They know that social issues are a winner for the Republican Party. Now, the Republican establishment doesn't like the social conservatives either. They'll take them on Election Day. But that's as far as it goes. They're scared of them, too. They don't like them, but they'll take them on Election Day. So Matthews says to Joan Walsh, there's a new New York Times CBS poll taken in February. It spanned opinion both before and after the president announced his accommodation this past Friday, which kept the religious institutions from having to sign on to providing free of charge abortion benefits. 66%, Matthews erroneously cites here, 66% in the New York Times poll support the federal requirement that private insurance plans cover the full cost of birth control. That's the only poll that shows that, by the way. And he says to Joan Walsh, this is a pretty clear public opinion here, I think.
The only people who are really opposed to this ultimately, or the people who are most opposed, are born-again evangelical Christians. So again, this is a Christian right issue. Rush Limbaugh says they're going to win the culture war. I think he's a secret Democrat. I think he's a closet Democrat. He is leading Michael's party off a cliff on this issue. All the polls show that.
I am leading the Republican Party off a cliff on the issue of abortion and social issues. I'm not on the ballot. I guess she's saying this because I'm not condemning Santorum for what he's doing. Well, if I'm leading the party off the cliff, they ought to be happy, but they sure as heck sound worried to me. You know, everybody chooses to conveniently forget that Bill Clinton ran on family values in 1996. That's how he won the soccer moms, for crying out loud. The Democrats they'll make overtures to the family values crowd. Why did Clinton bother with all the public apologies with Jesse Jackson and so forth over the Lewinsky stuff? Because it offended people's sense of decency where it comes to family values. He had to get them back. If family values didn't matter to Democrats, if they didn't matter to people, Clinton wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't have mattered. And he probably didn't want to do all that, but he had to. Obama. You want to talk about Santorum? Obama started this. If I may be bold, Ms. Walsh, it was Obama who started this at the National Prayer Breakfast. Santorum is simply reacting to Obama. Obama was the one who equated his policies with Jesus Christ, for crying out. We haven't had a Republican do that, and I don't know how long. But Obama did it, plain as day. And where were you, Ms. Walsh? Where were the rest of you lived? You're probably gritting your teeth and going, oh, my, but you said, okay, he's our guy. We know what he has to do. Another indication of just what the Democrats think they've got to do to win re-election. They've got to show themselves to be at least friendly and non-threatening to Christians and Southern conservatives if they're to have a chance. Otherwise, Obama wouldn't have wasted time trying to equate himself and his wonderful policies to Jesus Christ. So he starts it. That's what everybody has to remember here. Obama started it. Santorum was reacting. Pure and simple. And this was not all that Santorum was talking about last week. He was also doing extremely well talking about the economy, manufacturing. He hits grand slam home runs when he talks about such things as providing decent jobs for people who don't have college degrees in this country. That's a lot of people. And he hits grand slams talking about that stuff. He also mixes in the other stuff. And this, next soundbite, this is what's sent him in orbit. This is Jackie Gleason to his wife and the honeymooners. To the moon, Alice! When she really ticked him off. Santorum said this was Saturday in Columbus, Ohio. He was at a Tea Party rally.
This is what the president's agenda. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about your quality of life. It's not about your jobs. It's about some phony ideal. Some phony theology. Oh, not a theology based on the Bible, a different theology.
Or a different theology. It's not about your quality of life. It's not about your jobs. It's about some phony ideal. And he said Obama's agenda is not based on the Bible. And he didn't back down. When they started firing at him for this, he did not back down from the assertion that Obama's values run against the values of Christianity. Santorum said Obama is imposing his values on the Christian church. He can categorize those values any way he wants. I'm not going to. And he's exactly right. It was Obama who at first demanded that the Catholic Church provide free contraception and other abortion-related benefits, after he says that his policies equate those of Jesus Christ. So here's Obama demanding that churches and religious schools provide things that they are morally opposed to. So Obama started this plain as day, and Santorum says he's imposing his values of the Christian church, not the other way around.